are now in Greece, Thessaloniki, the second largest city in the country of Greece. For fun, I'm gonna count with you. 94, Bulgaria. 95, Albania. 96, North Macedonia. And 97, Greece. Yes, Greece is in the back end of my first 100 UN countries, but it's been something that I've been looking forward to for a very long time. Now, I am in what is known as Hes Mall, Thessaloniki Mall, and it is filled with what you think Greece should be filled with. People walking, people eating, and people sitting. Why do they have such a merry life here in Greece? The weather and the water might have something to do with it. This is some of the best moderate temperatures I've ever experienced. Yes, the weather is warm, but there's also a nice breeze. C'est perfecto. Oh! Good kick. Kids are going about their merry business in the city of Thessaloniki. We have the rest of the day and a night here before we move on to the ancient meteora rising from the sky. My vlog is a heckler. Someone's looking at me and heckling. But that's okay, because we are in one of the best tourist countries in the world. Sometimes someone's tragedy is someone's gain. Because of Greeks and their economic strife of Brexit in the last few years, things in Greece are cheap compared to the rest of the EU. Now, compared to the Balkans, where I just came from, I might notice an increase, but in general, Greek food is amongst, I would say, the world's finest, and is priced very well. I've yet to have any local food yet, because I'm here concerned with my art, my filmmaking. The funny thing about this gimbal is that when I record on it, people defer to me more than if I just had a camera in my hand for some reason. They feel I'm a professional. So if they feel I'm a professional, who am I to argue? I mentioned before that the highlight of this leg of my backpacking trip is Meteora tomorrow and Delphi the next day. Athens will also be a nice pickup, but really Meteora is the thing that I'm looking forward to. Meteora, I actually came across because of a little band named Linkin Park. I know that might seem like a noob thing to say that Linkin Park introduced me to ancient Meteora, but they did, so I will give credit where credit is due. What's all of this? What's all of this? I'd pretend that I know Greek and sing along, but really, I have just landed in Greece. Luckily for me, this is the last border crossing for a while. I've done really well, even though I added probably close to 10 or so new stamps in my passport. I still stayed within the same number of pages. The customs officers love the puzzle that I give them, which is fit your stamp on an already full page. They have found creative ways to stamp on top of stamps, but in a way that still retains all of the vital information. I've noticed some customs officers also even smile and laugh when I tell them what their assignment is. We are waiting to cross here, and we should really be safe as possible, or what we do is called local cross. Locals cross, you cross. Locals cross, you cross. Locals cross, you cross. Now, this is hardly the extreme sport that it is in a place like Vietnam, but still, I warn in my travel talks that people should take care in traffic, because the number one killer of Canadians abroad is traffic accidents. Alright. As we continue to walk down Test Mall in Thessaloniki, we can have a good look at the Greek flag and architecture. Many know Greece as a proud country, the birthplace of democracy and the Olympic movement. A high pan of Test Mall shows the proud Greek flags flying. Now, Thessaloniki is a difficult name to spell, but here is an example of how you spell it. Thessaloniki. Thessaloniki. Thessaloniki is, as I mentioned again, the second largest Greek city. Together with Athens, 50% of people live. I'm going to walk towards the hill view. Now, as is normal with me, I've downed lunch, as in I've eaten quick things that I retained from buffet breakfast, just so I could arrive and go. On some of these tours, they budget an hour and a half for group lunch. I say fuck that shit. I'd rather have an hour to an hour and a half to myself to explore. The question would be, why would I even join tours in this case? I have a rule. I do whatever is cheapest and best. So if something can do what I want to do cheaper and better than me, I go with that. If I can do cheaper and better than them, then I go with me. I'm very easy that way. I have no false aspirations of doing everything on my own. I just do what makes sense. I will admit that I do like doing things on my own as a challenge for backpacker cred, but other than that, I'm mostly fine with doing what's best, optimized to my priorities. My priorities are seeing as much of what I like as possible. That sometimes means skipping food during busy lunch hours. For example, in only a group of 14 people, the guide had to tell us to split up during lunch because every single popular restaurant was full to the gills. And in that case, are you going to try to elbow your way in for food, even if it's good food? Or are you going to walk off, see the city, and wait for something better later? Okay. My quick city jaunt has brought me to something that looks like a ruin here. I will cross the street and see what that ruin is. Thessaloniki has enjoyed an extended summer, as you can tell. Normally, the Balkans would be colder, but we are lucky in that sense. To be honest, North Macedonia was cold in the mornings. Again, I've run into a number of people who genuinely think I'm some sort of professional filmmaker just because of this here gimbal. The gimbal makes all the difference in the world. Now we walk across the street with locals and others alike, and we come across some sort of olden looking building. Here's why you sometimes do want to go with the guided tours. I've come across this oldish building, and I'm just gonna speculate a story onto it. The architecture reminds me of old Turkish hammams or Turkish baths. Whether this really is a hammam is a good question that I'll have for my tour guide later when I rejoin him. In the meantime, I'm just gonna walk a little bit and enjoy this park. Is about the end of Teth Mall. It's quite a scenic, picturesque park. The trees have interesting growths. I wonder if those are natural or pruned. As I make my way back on the other side of Tess Mall, I've come across another olden looking building. Again, that looks like a Turkish hammam. I'll remind that all of this is speculation. When I speculate, I'm sure to say that I'm speculating. When I relay information like I've an authoritative source, that's because I've an authoritative source, like a tour guide. Alright, this is probably more a religious house because these religious symbols are outside. That's my guess. But again, because I am only bowing at the Church of Stephanie, I only speculate as to what all of that stuff is. Suffice to say, they look churchy to me. As I border up the other side of Tess Mall, I'll comment that I felt much better after a more disciplined sleep pattern. A full 7 to 8 is important. I've just caught the lights again. That's fine. I can continue to scenically shoot the end of Tess Mall leading into a public park. Where we stay tonight is very close to Thessaloniki city center, so I hope to do some more vlogging. I might even vlog the other side of Tess, as in the other side of the sun, at night. We'll see. I do have to maintain my data for Meteor and Delphi, but I should be good to go. I've been conservative. To honor Lincoln Park. To be fair to Lincoln Park, they actually introduced me to both Nine Inch Nails and Meteora, so say what you will. I know they are panned, sort of like a Nickelback. I feel that's far from fair. As I return down Tess Mall, the sun is already starting to wane. The official sunlight is at 5:30 p.m. I already feel a drop in temperature, as in Tess is much cooler right now than it was earlier in the day. I think what I'm going to do, instead of aiming for a certain time, is I'm going to stop the vlog when I'm back at the coast, just for symmetry. I've noticed I have a little bit of pattern OCD. I try to complete patterns and such, just for my own purposes. This has been an interesting Thessaloniki walkabout. Once I'm back the original square, I will temporarily suspend the vlog and save up for Meteor. I might do an in-depth from Meteor for a whole hour. I'm thinking about it. I probably will do that. But that also depends on data reception out at Meteora. If we're lucky, it'll be good. So that's the plan. I'm starting to use the filmmaker label. So to justify that label, I want to film something spectacular for my own purposes and for artistic purposes. I've rewatched an old vlog where I mentioned what I'm doing is unique, but my thoughts were chopped in and out due to Wi-Fi, so I'll repeat right now. What I'm doing is unique. I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm filming all at the same time, something that's live but still accessible, I hope. I try my best to do that. It's definitely a combination of skills. It ain't easy. Remember, I'm also trying to absorb and experience as much as possible. I'm lucky that describing what I'm doing and vlogging does help me absorb and experience at the same time. So what I'm doing is helpful to my experience as opposed to hindering it. If I felt hindered by the vlogging, I would have stopped a long time ago. What I'm doing is immensely helpful to me as a person, which is why I continue to do it. My estimating skills are pretty good as well. I had a feeling that this vlog would be around the 25-minute mark for me to arrive back at the water, and right now we're at about 23 minutes. Timing this right, so indeed, Meteora, if I can, I will do the entire experience live vlogged. All I'll be limited by is whether there's data out there. I'm hoping that there is, because I think it will be quite an experience. Even just cityscapes have been a charm today. So I can only imagine what the mystic and majestic Meteora will bring tomorrow. I'm back. So I'll wrap up at about 25. Which is another 45 minutes. 45 seconds. 45 minutes would be quite a lot. I've done it before, but on data that would burn up a lot. I have managed my data well, so I should be able to have all the experiences that I want and then some. Maybe we will end off with a water shot. The coast walk on the way was a beaut. Maybe I'll also film when we walk there later, but right now we are good.